Hello, and welcome to the Ohio State Animal Sciences Podcast. I'm Alec Rush. The topic we're going to explore today is not only very important to animal scientists, but also very close to a lot of people in general, and that is animal welfare. In this episode, we'll discuss the history of our modern understanding of the concept, the different ways we measure animal welfare, some of the different contexts in which it's important, the role of public opinion, and finally some related technologies. One important thing to keep in mind as we go forward is that the topic of animal welfare doesn't exist in a vacuum. While it is certainly a specific field of study, it is also baked into all other aspects of animal science. But before we get into the specifics, let's take a moment to define the concept of animal welfare. This is something that is important to a lot of people, and it encompasses a lot of ideas. For most people, the term animal welfare is synonymous with humane treatment of animals, and while that is certainly part of it, animal welfare encompasses a lot of other things as well. The most important thing to keep in mind when it comes to defining animal welfare is that we always look at it through the lens of the animal's experience, not how we feel about it. This topic can certainly provoke a lot of emotions, which is good. The fact that humans care for animals is a very important part of our relationship with them. But the study of animal welfare is a science, and while ethical components are certainly very important, it's also necessary to consider the experience of the animal when discussing it. So, how and when did animal welfare become so important to us? Well, our modern understanding of animal welfare started in the 1960s with a book called Animal Machines by Ruth Harrison, which brought the state of animal welfare in the livestock farming industry into the public eye. It also prompted the UK government to create a committee to investigate the welfare of farm animals. The result of this was the Bramble Report, which outlined the 5 freedoms, 5 important aspects of animal welfare. Namely, these are freedom from hunger or thirst, freedom from discomfort, freedom from pain, injury, or disease, freedom to express normal behavior, and freedom from fear and distress. This report and these freedoms laid the groundwork for animal welfare research for decades to come. So, now we know what kicked off the study of animal welfare, but how do we measure it? Just how do we determine if an animal is doing well? There are a few schools of thought when it comes to this. One of these is the 3 circles model created by Dr. David Fraser. This model focuses on 3 aspects of welfare: physical health and biological functions, mental health and emotional state, and ability to live naturally, such as displaying behaviors that are important to the animal. Another way of thinking about it is the 5 domains model created by Dr. David Meller. These domains are nutrition, environment, health, behavior, and mental state. However you choose to classify the facets of animal welfare, freedoms, circles, or domains, we have to study the animal itself to determine its welfare. Unfortunately, we can't simply ask the animal how it's doing. While a lot of what we've been talking about so far has concerned the livestock farming industry, animal welfare is important in many other contexts as well. Zoos, aquariums, and pets, for example, are areas in which animal welfare must be considered. Fortunately, there are groups and pieces of legislation that help with these areas as well. For example, in zoos, the USDA regulates compliance with the Animal Welfare Act, and multiple member organizations require the inclusion of animal welfare to achieve certification. Yet another area where animal welfare is a consideration is scientific experimentation on animals. This is also covered in legislation. That said, it's not just laws that ensure animal welfare standards are kept. Today, most food animal industries in the U.S. have developed and implemented evidence-based animal care guidelines, and assurances that animals are being raised according to these guidelines are often provided through audits or assessments rather than legislation. Basically, the welfare of every type of animal is considered in some way or another. One aspect of animal welfare that is especially important is public opinion. People care about animals, which is a good thing, and so individuals and groups are often concerned with the state of animal welfare within the animal production industry. However, there is sometimes a disconnect between the public's perception and the industry itself. One misconception is that animals are regularly mistreated, but the truth is that those in the industry care about animal welfare a great deal. There are animal scientists who specialize in studying the topic. In fact, animal welfare is a subject that is researched thoroughly at our own institution. So, while there will always be concern for the welfare of animals in contexts like the food industry, advances are being made all the time in the field of animal welfare. Something that we keep coming back to in these episodes is technology. We've discussed how precision technology has made life easier for farmers. Now let's talk about how technological advances have made life better for animals. Technology that improves animal welfare could be as advanced as automated milk feeders that monitor how much and how fast calves drink, or as simple as cameras that allow farmers to see their animals 24/7. In fact, a lot of the precision technologies that we talked about previously also help with animal welfare. For example, any kind of tracking technology that helps farmers better keep track of their livestock helps them better take care of them as well. And that brings us to the end of our discussion on animal welfare. As always, we've barely scratched the surface of this topic, but we've taken a quick look at some of the important aspects. We learned how and when our modern understanding of animal welfare came about, as well as different ways that we understand and measure it. We talked about various contexts in which welfare is important and how it's regulated in those contexts. We discussed public opinion of animal welfare, and finally, how advances in technology have an impact. Animal welfare is a huge topic for a lot of reasons, but I hope you came away from this having learned something new. Thank you for listening. I'm Alec Rush, and this has been the Ohio State Animal Sciences Podcast.